This podcast is brought to you by San Diego County Toyota Dealers. We've got what it takes. Fix Auto, Corky's Pest Control. Welcome to the final football podcast of the season. Tommy Morris, Chris Smith, Christian Pedersen here in the lab for one last time. Guys, season just ended. What are your thoughts of how everything went in the finals?
I mean, I saw the greatest football game that's ever been played in San Diego County high school football history. So I enjoyed the finals.
I don't know about the greatest ever, but Rick Jackson, those boys over at Madison, hell of a comeback.
And that happened too.
I was so ready. I'll be the first one to admit it. 31-7 at halftime. I was ready to pack up my stuff, head home, and lo and behold, that defense for Madison showed up. Finally in the second half, I'll say it, and shut down St. Augustine. A couple questionable play calls toward the end there for Saints. And Madison comes out with the victory, and they have a hell of a challenge next week, this week.
Yes, just really quick congratulations to Cathedral, Madison, Mater Dei, the Bishop School, the Hoy Country Day, and going back to a couple weeks ago, Horizon. Good job, guys, on all your championship. And one last thing I want to say, if your team didn't make it to states, please go to any of the games that are here in San Diego. Cheer these guys on, because it's kind of like college football, how you hate your rivals in your division, or in your conference, during the season, but once you all get to the bowl games, root for them, because you want your conference to look good.
We're all a brother here.
Exactly.
In San Diego.
Exactly. So the better the San Diego teams do, the better off it is for next year. So just go out there and root on all the San Diego guys.
So we've got 3 games this weekend. They're here in San Diego. We've got Cathedral playing on Saturday. We've got Madison playing on Friday, and we've got La Jolla Country Day also playing on Saturday. So make it out to one of those games. Go on and support the San Diego football community.
And you make it out to 2, right? You got a Friday game,
and
one of the Saturday games.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and show up. So for this podcast, we've got our postseason awards. We've got a bunch from the first one we're going to start with. Our players of the year. We have an offensive player of the year and a defensive player of the year. Guys, who wants to share those first?
Oh, Chris, please, by all means.
We're going to go offense or defense first?
Let's go with offense. Let's go some offense.
Offensive player of the year, I'm going to go with a running back. And it's pretty obvious who I'm going to take. Number 5 for the Mater Dei Crusaders, none other than the Silver Pigskin winner from last night. That's CJ Burdell. I'm taking CJ Burdell for my offensive player of the year.
Yeah, CJ, very well deserving of that award. But I'm going to go with a different guy here. I'm going to go with Braxton Burmeister, quarterback, La Jolla Country Day. When you break every single record, I think that's pretty much all you need to say. Braxton, I'm gonna go skim through the record book, see if there is something that you have not broken yet.
There's one record that I want to talk about real quick.
What?
That's the kid threw for 10,500 yards in a high school career. First time anybody's done that in San Diego. Amazing job. And as of right now, Braxton is the leader in the state of California in offensive production this year.
Yeah, so Torres, go out there and win so you can get Braxton a couple extra games. I think
the only category he didn't set a record in was interceptions. That would have been the last one as like a passing thing. I'm just saying in general, like he's shattered everything.
Okay, so with the exception of that one, Braxton, I'm gonna come through the rule books or the record book, see if I can find anything for you to break coming in for state playoffs. So Christian, who's your player of the year on the offense?
Ooh, this one's tough. I will say I'll give it to Eric Buchanan at Madison. I think that because I'm judging all the way up through that final game, and Buck had some huge moments in that final game. He caught some touchdowns. He ran for some touchdowns. Well-rounded offensive approach from Eric Buchanan.
And again, you can't take away his leadership on the field for that team. Man, that's amazing right there. He's an all-star.
But just looking down offensively, you got people like Khalil Spurl, Joey Moronis, Milan Grice. It was a stacked field to get through to the top of this.
We got kids over at Lincoln. What's Micah Edwards?
Micah.
That's another guy that we got to mention. You got Casey Granforth over at UC. We got to mention. There's a lot of guys out here. You guys had fantastic years on offense, but we can only pick one. We didn't slide anybody. Ain't sleeping on nobody, even though I know I'm gonna hear that on Twitter. But that's my player of the year. It's Tommy's, Christian's.
Wow, the years came to an end. Offensive player of the year. I have 2, and I'm very excited about it. I think CJ Burdell and Braxton Burmeister are my 2 offensive players of the year. Obvious reasons, they're both leading the team to the state. CJ Burdell had an excellent career at Mater Dei, one of the best running backs in the county, probably one of the best running backs San Diego have seen in a long time. And Braxton Burmeister just broke every record known to man in the passing arena. Congratulations to both those guys. Those are my offensive players of the year.
All right, let's flip the side of the ball. Let's go to defense. Chris, what do you think?
Defense. I think I'm going to take one of the most underrated players, in my opinion, in San Diego County, and that's none other than Helix's Scotty Young.
That's a good pick. I was thinking about that one too, but we try to each get different picks. So again, don't take this personally if someone picks you and someone else doesn't. We try to get a different player for each of us. I'm going to go with Samson New here, Madison. Great linebacker, great season. Again, going back to what you say, Christian, like getting all the way through the championship game, keep the judging open. I'm going to go with Samson as my defensive player of the year. What do you think?
I'm going to give out two versions of the award. I'm going to say the defensive heart of the year goes to Zeke Noah. That kid played every single down like you're supposed to play football. And
Absolutely.
so I'll give him the heart and soul of the defense award. In terms of the actual execution, I'm going to give it to Moroni Ane at Cathedral Catholic. Kid is an absolute thumper.
Absolutely.
I mean, he lays the wood on people, and we saw that up and down the field in that championship game in there just breaking some Scotties in half. So those will be my two guys, rightfully so, the two that were represented in the open division.
My defensive player of the year, wow, this was a hard choice. So many to choose from. Ezekiel Noah, obviously, Samson New. Both those guys, tremendous, are my players of the year. I know I have to have a code. And it's just been excellent to watch those guys. It's funny, both are ranked in that state. I think Samson was ranked number 1 preseason by scouts as the number 1 inside linebacker, and Ezekiel was ranked number 2. And they could have flip-flopped either which way. But both those guys are the players of my defensive players of the year. Congratulations, fellas.
All right, guys, so now for some players that we didn't have around in the beginning of the year that we definitely should have. Broke out this year, made a splash. Chris, who's your breakout player of the year?
You know, can we call this the actual maybe sleeper of the year?
Sure.
The guy that we all slept on, we didn't see at the beginning of the season? Because I'll tell you right now, I slept on this kid. He's in my own backyard. That's none other than Patrick Henry's Ryan Savage. Led the county in interceptions with 7, and I didn't even have him on my list at the beginning of the year. Ryan, I apologize. I was sleeping on you.
Christian, who do you have?
I am going to go with Ricky Mazzetti, sophomore quarterback with the Valley Center Jags. He got them to a semifinal game this year, threw for a whole bunch of yards, eclipsed the 2,000-yard mark. That's huge to break out as a sophomore. That they went 9-1 and they only lost to Mater Dei. And that's a huge season for a young kid to get a bunch of experience. Sometimes with the younger kids, you look at it and you go, hey, 5-5 under young leadership. No, this kid came out 9-1. Jags look really, really good. So you cannot sleep on Ricky Mazzetti next season.
I'm going to go with the guy, we kind of had him on our radar a little bit, but he hadn't had the full, the full season.
He had to rise.
He had to rise. He had to arrive there. We were expecting him to arrive, and he did. It's Martell Irby from Morris. That's a very, when you're playing Morris, you know they're going to run the ball.
Right.
And Martell still had an unreal season, even though everyone knew Martell's going to run the ball. So Martell Irby is my breakout player of the year. So let's go to the sideline now.
Before we do, I want to add one more guy to this
Okay,
list
go
that
for
we
it.
probably need to talk about. And that's none other than a guy we had interviewed during the season from El Cajon Valley, from the Braves, because they don't get a lot of love out there. I'm going to go with Tyson Smith. I'd love to be able to add Tyson Smith to this list. Beginning of the year, I didn't know anybody in El Cajon. This kid showed up, delivered game in, game out, was a game changer in the games. I got to add Tyson Smith to that as well.
I will add Tyson Smith there as
Wow,
well.
what an exciting year. There were so many guys that broke out this year. Jared Edelman, named one. Asante over there in Lincoln would name another one. Just several players. Martell Irby over at Morris is one of the breakout juniors is coming out. Sean Puma broke out. There were so many guys that were breakout players of the year that could win this award. But I'm gonna go with 2. My first is Madison's quarterback, Terrell Carter. Guy just had an unbelievable year. We know he was destined to be great, but no one knew he was gonna be this great. He's just played lights out. He's leading his team to the state. I was very impressed with him in the championship. Terrell Carter is just one of my breakout players of the year. Second breakout player of the year. I don't even know if he's a breakout player, but he's probably the best athlete in San Diego. I know he's the hardest working, and he's going to do great things in college. I believe Scotty Young, Mr. Everything for Helix. He could have been defensive MVP. He could be offensive MVP. He could be everything. He's the jack of all trades. Was such a great, phenomenal young man, great character kid. He's the other breakout player of the year for me. Congratulations to those guys. Wish you guys best in college. Good luck.
So going from the field to the sidelines, the coaches. Who is your coach of the year, Chris?
Well, I'm going to go with, it was a toss-up for me. I'll say this. Taking over for a legend in a program that is used to winning is a difficult position to be in. Add that to the egos and the parents and the expectation to immediately win, and I think you know who I'm talking about. Might be a little bit of a homer pick because everybody knows I'm a big fan of the program, but that's none other than Coach Owens, Robbie Owens for the Helix Scotties. That's my coach of the year this year.
Yeah, and he came from out of city too. Had to
Yep.
learn the area. So
Had to move his kids in,
Yep.
family, everybody down here. That's a big adjustment for a head coach.
Christian, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the man who just didn't even skip a beat from his state championship last year, John Joyner at Mater Dei.
Good pick.
You know, most champions get moved up one division. They got moved up
Two divisions.
And I like that. We all did that kind of stuff. That was cool. That was whatever the
We did
timing-
not practice
the
that.
timing.
It was just-
But Coach Joyner, he led his team to yet another CIF title without skipping a beat. I mean,
And they
a
were
one-loss
so
team.
focused.
Well, and let's talk about that focus for a second. When that game ended and they beat Olympian, those kids went straight out and shook hands.
Yep.
And there was very little hell yeah. Which means to
They
me
did it
that
with
Coach
class.
Joyner isn't just winning on the field; he's winning off the field,
Absolutely.
and he's showing. He's leading by example as how other coaches should conduct themselves with opponents,
Right.
with their own
Class.
players, and all that. So, Coach Joyner, thank you very much for all your work this season, and congratulations.
I'm gonna go with Coach Gladnick over at Torrey Pines. Torrey Pines,
Another good pick.
most people picked them to come in last in their league, and they ended up winning the thing. So congratulations, Torrey Pines Falcons. They got that 8 seed. Unfortunately, the playoffs had to run to Cathedral right away. If not, I think they would have probably gotten a win in there somewhere. But I mean, an unreal job by the coaching staff and the players too at Torrey Pines. I want to take away what the players did. So, Coach G, congratulations.
I want to add something to Coach G. A friend of mine, Coach G, is a good guy. I also want to say, when you go out and look at his team, he didn't have a Braxton Burmeister. He didn't have CJ Burdell. He did that with a bunch of kids that believed in the system. They started early on, lived it early in the season, worked hard. Everybody got bought into it. Tough game against Santa Fe Christian with the turnovers. But he goes in not only to Mission Hills, but he goes into Oceanside and beats two of the top programs.
Big road
everybody
wins
thought.
are fun.
Yeah, and that's the thing,
that's hard to do. You really got to coach these kids and get these kids to buy into it.
Right, and I think that almost makes this case even more. They had that tough loss early in the year, and instead of folding it and packing it,
Absolutely.
season's over. No, they stuck with it. They beat teams that no one expected them to beat.
Nobody,
and when I
including
say,
us.
And you're right, and when I say, including me especially, and when I say last in the league, I don't mean like some random league. I mean this is one of the best leagues in the county.
Absolutely.
So in order to run through that and win that thing, very good job.
And to make Tommy's point, this being one of the best leagues in the county, 3 teams on there were in the open. They had 3 teams represented from the Avocado League that were in the open division. 2 of those teams unfortunately got seated higher than him, but there's 3 teams that he beat both of those teams and won the Avocado League with that squad. Great job, Coach G.
One other coach I'd like to say just brought an interesting season was Coach Carlo at Grossmont. The Foothillers were kind of a really interesting case study. They played really aggressively up-tempo ball this year, and they had us talking about, is the East County
Right.
shifting power dynamics? Is this no longer just Helix and everybody else? Is this
Right.
now maybe Helix and Grossmont and everybody else? So, congratulations, Coach Carlo, on officially being in the conversation. Like, Grossmont is the real deal now. I think we can agree. Whether or not they're going to win an open division title anytime soon or just be continuously competing in it, I think they proved this season that Grossmont is here and here to stay.
One more guy I got to add to that, obviously, was PPR's Coach of the Year. We all know who that is. That's Rick Jackson over there in Madison. He easily could have been the Coach of the Year for any one of us, but considering he got the other award, we decided to go a different direction and pick somebody else. No disrespect to Coach Jackson. You and your staff over there are doing a fantastic job. Good luck this weekend.
Wow. Coach of the Year. We had a tremendous amount of great coaches this year. The Valley Center coach, coach over there, Christian, this year had an outstanding season. And obviously, we had Torrey Pines that came out of nowhere to show everybody, that there's somebody to reckon with, especially in the future. But I have, and also Lincoln, Day, Coach Dunn over there at Lincoln, another great year from him, way to put together that staff. Well, me personally, I think the Coach of the Year to me is going to be Joel Allen, Coach Allen over at Bishop's. Perfection, fellas. I mean, guy led his team with limited amount of players. I think they only got I think less than 30 players on the roster. He's been able to do big things, and he's even been able to go into CIF championship and beat another great team over in Christian. And he's leading his team to the state. Consistently puts together a great game plan, breaks down teams very well. Him and his staff have just been excellent through his tenure there. So I think it's time to be recognized. For my Coach of the Year is Joel Allen.
All right, so our final award is not really an award. It's more of almost kind of a look ahead to next year. Christian, you're well known for having some unique awards, I would say.
I just have some unique takes. I see things usually wrong, sometimes different.
It's an art major thing. Guy's an artist. So you're going to take us through a trip around the county for some teams that we should be watching out for next year.
Like, I think people struggle sometimes with sleeping on people. And we get in this routine of you want to say the same names over and over. Because
too much NyQuil. Yeah, too much NyQuil.
You think that just because this year was good for a senior class that they've automatically got a good group coming behind them. So I just want to run you down 4 teams that I'm going to say a way too early type prediction, and I want your guys' feedback on this about who to sleep on and who not to. Let's start down in the South Bay area. I'm going to say Coach Wesleyan, Gus Ferreira, and the Hilltop Lancers will be a team not to sleep on. I know that this was a quarterfinals year for them. They had a big win in the playoffs. Nothing crazy remarkable, but at the same time, big thing is looking at Gus, their wide receiver. Kid had 1,500 and change yards receiving.
Absolutely.
And he's coming back next season.
Yep.
And for a head coach to have a distinguished weapon coming back next season, I see that system offensively building there, and I see them at least being league champs, if not that pole vaulting them to a semifinals
I want
or
to add
something
to that.
type run.
I think number one for me, the coaching around that program, the culture of the program's changed.
Absolutely.
Coach Wesleyan brings a winning attitude, winning expectations. I think you're right. That's definitely a team you don't want to sleep on next year or overlook them, if you will. A lot of people say it's a trap game. Whatever you do, don't sleep on them next year.
Absolutely. Let's move up to another team that we talked about. One of their stars already, and in Martell Irby, the Morris Tigers. This team is going to be a big time greatest show on turf type vibe next year. They are going to put up,
but without the passing.
Without the pass, just on the turf. They're not even going to go up there. Like, they're going to stay ground level. And I think that this could be a team that we see start to blow people out of the water next season.
Track meet.
Like, it not just, no, because track meet usually implies both teams are going to be running. Like, this is going to be
one-sided track meet.
Yeah, this is going to, I think that we could see them be a 5-0 with a point margin of like plus 200 type of thing early on in the season with some really big running game.
I do want to add, they have an offensive lineman over there. I remember I was coming down the walkway at Morris, and I'm walking down there, and it looked like there was a giant amongst these little kids. They got a 6'8" lineman over there that was a freshman. This kid was playing varsity as a freshman. He's 6'8", dual sport athlete, plays basketball and football. If he learns to use that 6'8" size, I 100% agree with you that this team is going to run through guys.
I'm glad you bring up offensive linemen. That brings me to my next selection. Out in the East County, the team I say not to sleep on next season, Monte Vista. They were a team that sans a lot of hype and superstar power this year, but if you look at their offensive line, they are returning almost all of their starters next year, and that was the backbone of their team this year, was they were able to clear big holes around the corner and run the ball. I think that Monte Vista, you got to temper that expectations, but they also have the great opportunity in their division of no more Braxton and no more runaway stars at that level, so they could be a team to throw their hat into the mix next year.
I agree. I think Rad Hamamoto, the head coach over there, is doing a fantastic job. Legendary. He's been at multiple schools over his coaching career. If anybody knows how to motivate kids, keep them focused through the course of the season, definitely Rod Hamamoto over there.
All right, last one, Christian.
Let's go up to the North County.
Let's caffeinate somebody up there.
And I'm going to say El Camino.
Ooh.
I think that Coach Ralph had a rocky back and forth with his first season there, but what he showed is that ultimately he has the ability to game plan for the North County teams and for the big power teams. They won a couple of huge games, they dropped a couple of huge games, but all in all they were kind of in it every week. And I think that this is a team that now that Coach Ralph is dug in there and he has a season of, hey, we've taught them, because the transition year can always be tough for a coach. I think that El Camino, it's hard to say like this far out they'll be a champion next year, but I think that they will be a team that, like you said, every week it's a trap game against El Camino.
And not to cut you off, but they got a guy on that team that we might be talking about next year around this time as our player of the year.
Chris Brown.
So
not the dancer, but the running back / linebacker out there. And I don't know if he's better at linebacker or running back, to be completely honest with you.
And so all of that to me says don't sleep on them. Those are my 4 teams. One more, just because it's not really in San Diego. Don't ever sleep on Southwest El Centro.
Okay.
Don't ever sleep on Southwest South Central.
Okay.
They've got stats leaders on. If you look through the CIF website, they got leaders in the top 10 in defensive and offensive stats. A lot of people don't see them. They gave Country Day a run for their money in that game. So don't be sleeping on. That would be my outside the county. Don't sleep on.
I'll say another team that I want to mention in this conversation. A couple
Please.
of teams, real quick. Oceanside, I think they're going to bounce back. I think David Rodriguez going into his third year is going to do a fantastic job. That entire coaching staff are going to get those guys ready. I think they were disappointed in the early exit in the playoffs. So they're going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to take some guys out next year. Obviously, Jack Tuttle going into his senior year over there at Mission Hills. That's going to be another tough program to look out for.
There's going to be so many good battles next
There's
season.
going to be a lot
I'm
of
already
really
excited
great
for
football
it.
next year. Those juniors, you got Kyle Phillips over there at San Marcos.
Yep.
Can't sleep on him. So, spread the love around the county a lot. I don't necessarily see one team being completely dominant next season. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are on that cusp. Teams are going to go up a division, maybe some teams will go down a division, but I see a lot more competitive football coming in next year with
Absolutely.
this junior class.
Well, it should be fun, guys. I've had a great time with you all year.
Absolutely.
It's been fun.
It has.
I've enjoyed the lab. I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss the lab, guys. I'm gonna miss it a little bit. Thank you guys all so much for watching along with us all year. We appreciate all the feedback, whether it's positive or negative. We
Sure,
take it
we
both
love
ways.
it.
To all the players who came in and sat in the lab with us
Absolutely.
and had a good time with us. We had again, I can't say this enough time, fantastic time this season. Keep your eyes out though. Basketball podcast coming up. Just because season's changed.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. So basketball podcast starting back up next week. So take a look at that. Aaron Bergen, aka Full Time Hoops 1. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. As you check him out on Twitter, one of the most knowledgeable guys in any sort of capacity for high school sports. So please give him a follow and watch out for that. Next week, guys, any final words before we close this football season?
Thank you to all of the seniors this year. You guys put in a bunch of work to make our jobs fun and to give us a bunch of interesting plot lines to cover. And two, I would just say Chris and I aren't going anywhere in the football world. I know that we got basketball coming up, but we're going to still try and push the conversation forward. We're going to keep you updated on if anyone's transferring, if anyone gets injured, if anyone gets offers, all that kind of information. Keep it tuned to SD Prep Insider.
Another thing I just want to thank, I wanted to go different. I want to thank all the coaches.
Oh, there you go.
What I didn't realize, going out there with the CIF finals last week, a lot of coaches watch this. Even at Christian, I'd see them at Christian, they actually watch us on their coaching Friday nights. So I want to thank all the coaches that support us, all the parents, all the fans, all the doghouse, all the other schools out there that watch us, that when we pick against you guys, you come on Twitter, you say something, you make it well known that you represent your school. I just want to thank the entire San Diego football community for all their love, all their support, and all the punishments that you have to make this guy go.
I'm so ready for those sponsors. Hey, nobody took me up on my offer for me to return a kick with no blockers. I really want to do that.
Yeah, I want to see the skydiving. Maybe in basketball. Make this guy go skydiving.
Maybe.
That'd be awesome.
We'll see. Again, in last words, I want to say, please go out to all these state championship games,
Absolutely.
playoff games. Support your San Diego teams. I can't stress enough how important it is for the whole San Diego football community, for everyone in there to win. Makes it look a lot better, and maybe we'll finally get a team in that open division. We have to fight against those LA schools all the
Don't
time.
sleep on San Diego.
Show them what's up, guys.
We're here.